Hello, everyone. Just want to welcome you all to this webinar today. Let me go ahead and introduce myself really quick. I'm Derek Kirby. I'm going to be moderating the webinar. Let's kind of kick it off. Go ahead and start. So really exciting topic that we have today. We are going to be speaking to actual online Masters of Public Health students. They're currently in the program. They're going to classes. They're having that student experience that we hope you also will be having. One thing I'd like for you to kind of pay attention on the screen that you see here as we go through, you'll notice at the bottom, there's an important date to kind of remember here. The fall 2023 cohort is next up. And the early admissions decisions deadline is December 15th. Which may seem far away. It is not. That will creep up on you, especially with the holidays, with Thanksgiving and all the other holidays we have going around. It very much will catch up. And so be sure that you have all your paperwork, everything that you need to apply for the program by December 15th, so that you can get that early admissions decision and know where you stand and help you plan for the year to come. So let's kind of jump in. What we have to discuss today is a few different things. First and foremost, we've got the interview, a brief interview panel with the current online MPH students. And this is just going to be a few warm-up questions that we're going to ask them before we open it up to the live Q&A. These questions they're get to know you questions. I'm sure you all have a lot of questions, and we kind of want to get a sense of who these students are before we start asking all the other deep questions that we have for them. And then after that brief panel interview, we'll kind of talk about what makes the online MPH unique. And we have the program director is actually going to be on the call today and kind of speak a little bit about that. And then we have the application checklist. What do you need to apply for this program and be prepared for those deadlines? Enrollment coach is going to be speaking to us about that. And then it's the live Q&A where you can ask your questions and get them answered from the actual students. And speaking of that, you'll notice at the bottom of your screen, there's like a Q&A down there. Go ahead and enter your questions in that Q&A just throughout the entire presentation here. If it pops in your head, go ahead and ask that question. No need to wait till the end. So without further ado, let's meet the presenters. So these first three are the actual students. So we have Joey Townsend, who's an industrial and organizational psychologist at her own LLC, where she is a management partner. We're super glad to have her on the call. Next, we have Sean McLean. He's a disaster workforce engagement manager at the American Red Cross in New York City. And then we have Sham Adusumili, Chief Product Officer at Ground Game Health. So really appreciative that they're able to kind of take time out of their day and what's going on with them to share their experiences with us. And then we also, on the faculty side at Brown University, we have Dr. Jen Nazarino, who's the inaugural Associate Director of the online MPH program. She also is oh, sorry, didn't mean to pop that up there. Little technical difficulties. Of course, this always happens in live events, things like this happen. But she is also the co-director of the Philippine Health Initiative for Research, Service, and Training. Next, we have Nithya Ramesh, who is a program manager of the online MPH program. And she's also an alum of the in-person MPH program. So she is a dentist by trade and is responsible for overseeing the curriculum, student support, and logistics of the online MPH program. So really great to have both of those ladies. And then last but certainly not least is Kim Pulowski. She's the Brown University enrollment coach. She knows the ins and outs of the application process and all the things that you kind of need to gather and have ready for the deadlines of the program. So these folks are here today and they have a lot to share and a lot to kind of help you through. Again, the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to enter questions at any time and we'll get to them. But before we get to the live Q&A, let's kind of speak to our students and get to know them just a little bit better. So we have a few warm-up questions in the queue. And the first being, which I think is a big question to ask, especially today with everyone's lives being so busy, personal lives, school lives, work lives. How do you, how did you come to that decision to choose Brown's online MPH? There's specifically your decision process. What was your process of elimination? How did you finally decide that Brown is the program that you wanted to pursue and be a part of? So I think we'll just start how it is up on the screen. We'll kind of kick it over to Joey to answer that question.
Sure. Thank you, Derek. And hi, everybody. It's great to spend some time with you today. So I specifically, my goal was to add some dimension to my career. So as Derek mentioned, I'm an IO psychologist. I had, finished a PhD about 2 years ago or so. And so I feel like everything kind of has a shelf life, and I wanted to refresh some of my perspectives, frameworks, tools, thinking to take a slightly broader perspective and add some dimension to my career. So that was kind of my overall goal. And specifically, it came to Brown for 4 reasons. Three of those I would say are distinct differentiators in my mind for the Brown program. And those differentiators are the quality of the education. For my goals, the generalist track would provide a really great foundation. I liked the array of courses that Brown was offering. I loved that there was an opportunity to do an applied, public health experience or an internship, if you want to think about it that way. And I liked that the focus was really on application and kind of real world case studies in the curriculum. So that quality of education was something I wanted. The second reason was the value of the credential from Brown. I think that bullet point probably speaks for itself. But if I was going to go back to school sort of at midlife, it made sense to really make it matter. And I thought a credential with Brown's name on it would make it matter. It was worth my time. The third reason was the strong and enduring emphasis on diversity and inclusion that Brown has. And as a non-traditional student, again, at midlife, I wanted to be somewhere where I felt I could be myself, be embraced, not feel like I was on the fringe, and really be welcome to participate in everything that the program had to offer. The fourth reason is, the modality. The online modality was the only way I was going to go back to school because I live in Florida and I have lots of other things in my life that I can't walk away from. So there are other online programs, but none that offer the first 3 things I was looking for.
Wow, that's really great. Thank you for that insight. I think a lot of people can, hear that and relate to that. Sean, how about you?
Hey, thank you. First, I just want to make sure everyone can hear me okay. I am in a cafe, so I hope that you can hear me over the music in the background. And if you can't, let me know, I can adjust. So
yeah, no, you sound great.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, so for me, the choice to come to Brown was a bit of a no-brainer. For me, at least. Brown had been my dream school for years. I actually had a card dating back to 2017 from someone from the in-person Master's Public Health program from when I was in my undergraduate education. The Master's Public Health program was always a goal of mine. But after graduation, I was kind of faced with the crossroads of, do I pursue my career or do I pursue education? And due to finances at the time and just where I was at that stage in my life, I decided to go move into my career and start working towards a career with the Red Cross at that time. I did a year of AmeriCorps service. And I remember after my year of AmeriCorps service, when I began working full-time with the Red Cross, I tried a Master's of Health Administration full-time in-person program, and I couldn't find a way to adapt a full-time master's program with the in nature of the work working in emergency management disaster response, I just found that it was not compatible with an in-person master's. So I decided to take some time and think about it, but also think about what degree I really wanted and what I really wanted personally from my education. And Brown was always the dream, you know, in the back of my mind since my first visit. But I attended multiple information sessions for different online master's programs. I realized I really wanted a master's in public health. I was in a master's of health administration, and I really realized that I wanted to stay in the nonprofit world and focus on epidemiology and nonprofit medicine, and kind of working in that and working in the developing world overseas with public health. But every Masters of Public Health program information session I attended, it really seemed that even the online ones really were focused on a traditional learning model adapted into a online format. So squeezing kind of the traditional learning model into the online format. And the in-person programs I looked at in New York City essentially said outright, we don't expect you to work on top of this program. So I really wanted to go back and pursue my master's, and my employers were also extremely encouraging. I've had very supportive staff members. And I remember I loaded into Brown's website just on a whim thinking, you know, what if, you know, I'm just thinking of the dream, and I loaded it and it said online Masters of Public Health coming soon. And I sent an email out within minutes. I was on that instantaneously. But the truth is that what really struck me about the Brown program, of course, you know, for the longest time, Brown was always my dream school. But every meeting I had between all of my meetings with faculty, many of who are on this call now, leading up to throughout the application process, throughout my acceptance of admissions offer, have reassured me that this program is designed for the working adult and also designed specifically as a program for tailored to the online student, but not in a way that isn't in any way sacrificing any of the things that make a master's program valuable and special. They've really found a way to adapt to create a program from the ground up for the online students that isn't just taking the existing master's program and cutting it down into a smaller portion. This is a very specially built program that feels really tailored to us. And they have been so understanding and listening of, you know, my concerns, you know, with my nature of the work and, you know, with my schedule's limitations. So the one point that I really wanted to highlight is the asynchronous learning model that has been championed so far here through this program. Is a phenomenal setup for any working adult. I fortunately have not missed any of the synchronous sessions yet because I just enjoy them too much. But I like having that safety net of knowing that the lectures are not all required, at least for the classes I'm in. And a lot of the work is self-paced. It's really tailored so that you can get the most out of your learning without feeling the pressure should your schedule not be unaccommodating at any given time. And the professors I've worked with have also reassured me that they will work with me to ensure that I am able to perform in both my academic and my professional career. I'm so happy to be here because in the time I've been here so far, I've felt so welcomed. And another part of that is that what really brought me to the program, what really I appreciate about the program is despite it being a very tailored online program focused on the online modality, they have at every stage of the way made it clear we are full students. In fact, and made it clear that we are part of the Brown community. We actually organized a group of our online cohort members, and we attended the convocation ceremony. And we were welcomed at the School of Public Health with open arms. I was going to pick up my ID badge because we hand out ID badges. My picture wasn't ready yet, though, so I'll have to make another trip to campus for that. But they made us feel like full students. We were welcomed on campus with open arms, and to anyone who lives in the Northeast, like I live in New York, where Brown is a day trip away. I plan to visit campus frequently, and that is fully allowed despite the online modality of the program. And so feeling like a true Brown student, this really feels like I've been able to kind of fulfill that dream of joining Brown while continuing my career and working forward in that. So yeah, I'm just very happy to be here, and I'll turn it over to Syam now. So, thank you.
Thanks, Sean. For me, it was to build on what Joey was saying. It was really looking for a generalist education in public health. I've been in healthcare for 30 years, most of it as a technology leader, transformation type of leader. And I was looking for something where I can really get the public health perspective as I try to pivot my career into more of serving people. In May this year, I made two transitions. One, as Chief Product Officer for a social determinant of health company. And the second one is to start this MPH at Brown. My decision process was maybe a little more traditional. I knew anything in person was off the table because I shuttle between India and US and stops in multiple countries in between, just where my life takes me. So online was very important. A generalist program was very important. When I did my research, there were a lot of programs which focused on epidemiology, computational epidemiology. Look, I love epi, right? But I don't want my life or what I'm learning to be all about epidemiology. So that generalist approach was very important. To echo some of what Sean was saying, this has been very welcoming. Jan and Nitya have been very supportive. All three of us, I know, knowing the other two, we're very vocal. But we also are very focused on getting the value out of this education, if you will. And then this has been, at least so far, very rewarding. And some of the people that have been picked for the cohort, incredible experiences. I feel like I'm learning from our teachers, but also from my classmates every day. And the perspectives that they bring, the aspects of life that they apply to this MPH. Like Joey, I'm somewhere midlife. My family thinks I'm going through a midlife crisis, and it's called an MPH at Brown. It's been amazing.
Wow, I think this is really great. I really appreciate the three of you asking this question, because I think as we've seen here, they're completely different answers, and I think there is no linear path for any one student. There different things are coming up in life that might lead you to this or send you this way. So I always find it fascinating what brought different people from different areas of the country, of the world, to the same program. So thank you, all three of you, for sharing. And speaking of that, Shyam is actually on this webinar speaking to us from India, where I think didn't you say it was like 4:30 or almost 5 in the morning there? So really appreciate you, again, all three of you being on this webinar and speaking with us. So let's jump into the next question that we've got for you. Just about your lives and full-time positions, as we just kind of go over, what you do for work, and just how busy that can be. And now you're taking this course at Brown. Where do you find balance, or what was something you discovered when you started this, where you're like, whoa, I might have to cut back here, or I might have to give this up, or like how did you make that adjustment when you began the program? And again, I'll start with Joey.
Sure. So I interpret balance as the same way I have throughout my career, which is a series of, really choices and trade-offs, because you can't do it all. And thinking you can do it all sort of with the same level of priority is a recipe for disaster in my experience. So I think I probably do, 5 things. I like to boil all my approaches down to 4 or 5 points. So the first thing I do is get really clear on what I would call focus. So I revisit my why a lot, my reasons for doing this program, my reasons for the work that I do, et cetera. And that helps me establish kind of a North Star that, like I said, I revisit it a lot. And that helps me make choices around the second thing that I really keep an eye on, which are priorities. There's lots of distractions along the way. There's lots of things you can get involved with, be it in this program or just, in life. And some of those are going to be good, and some of those are really going to take you or take me away from what I'm, really trying to achieve. And so, I set priorities for myself at the beginning. When I committed to this program, I created this is going to sound maybe a little overdone to some, but I tend to be really disciplined. And that works for me. So I have a balanced scorecard approach that I use. And it has, just to get really personal here with this, it has four segments in it. It has, family, my pet, who's like my child, work, and school. They're not in any particular order, but that is the framework I use to then write goals for myself. And so I look 2 weeks out. I'm going to get really specific here because I think this is probably one of those perceived barriers with doing a program and working. So I'll just be really specific. I've got my scorecard with my 4 columns in it. I look out, I looked at the entire syllabus for both courses that I'm taking at the beginning when I got it. I revisit that in 2-week chunks every week to see what's coming up. And I try to manage my school workload across the 2 weeks. And I, have goals in each of the 4 pillars, and I balance across those 4 things. That works for me. The third thing I do is I was really careful to do some self-awareness, so some self-reflection before I began this program around my strengths, what vulnerabilities I thought I was going to have in the program. I can tell you that I thought my discipline would come in handy. It has. I can tell you that I thought problem solving was a strength that I have. I think that's come in handy. A vulnerability that I identified was, I'm not a digital native, and the work I have been doing throughout my career has not had me really interfacing a whole lot with technology. I had, people on my team that were closer to that. And so that was something that I was a little nervous about, signing up for school at, where everything seems like it's so digital, even the application. I was like, wow, all this stuff's online now. How cool is this? And, that was, I'll get into later kind of how I addressed that. But I was clear around where I thought my vulnerabilities were going to be. I add to the list and take things off from time to time. And then, the fourth thing I do is, I already mentioned, I look two weeks out. So that's something I do. I also tap the resources that are available to me. So that's kind of the fifth thing. And that is that we each have an advisor. So Karen happens to be my advisor, and she's awesome. And so when I need some guidance or a reality check, I reach out to her, and she's always accessible. Nithya has been really helpful to me at different points with questions. Brenda, who's another resource for us around our applied public health experience, has been a phenomenal sounding board for me. And as Sham mentioned, and Sean might have mentioned it too, we have a great class full of colleagues that all have very different experiences, and they've been a great resource as well. So that's how I get some semblance of balance. It hasn't been a challenge at all for me. I haven't felt, in all honesty, I haven't felt pressured. I haven't had any, issues whatsoever with balancing.
Wow, you make it seem very easy. I do like that structured approach. I think that's very important. Sean, kind of interested to hear what you have to say about this.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to comment. It's so funny. The one thing I really wanted to comment on was your last point there, Joy. Yeah, I was so shocked by how easy it was actually to balance this program. This is my second round through my master's, and my first time, I remember how difficult it was, be working with the Red Cross and also trying to balance a master's program on top of that. I remember how impossible it was trying to find any time for any free time, any work-life balance was out the window. So I was very nervous to come back to my master's program. I was really kind of hesitant. That's why I was really careful to make sure I picked the right program, because I was like, I remembered how little free time I had there and how burnt out I was getting. I don't want to go down the same path again. And I haven't felt that at all here at Brown. And a big part of that has been due to the support of the faculty. The faculty have been incredibly supportive, both on the support side, Jen, Nithya, everyone, but also the professors. Everyone has been so phenomenally understanding, and I have not at any point felt intimidated or stressed about missing deadlines or not being able to fulfill my requirements. And I was honestly shocked by how little of my own personal life I had to give up in the process. I thought like, oh, hobbies are out the window and everything. No, but the truth is, because of the asynchronous level of the layer of the program, all it really takes is time management. So that's really what it's taken, is learning what hours of the day are dedicated to work, which hours you can dedicate to school, and learning how to budget your school time around your personal life. I would say this program has really, I felt like I had not had to take any sacrifice to my own personal life, my hobbies or social life or anything. And that was a very big concern of mine. And for me, what I found really helped was really trying to work more, again, on time management. So really learning how to budget time was something that really I found very helpful as an exercise for myself. I've heard of people who do, different, like the systems I was mentioning. I'm more of an old school person with just going with a college planner, maybe undergrad habits die hard, but, just a paper planner is good enough for me. But the faculty, my other thing I would just say, I guess, is, as I said, communication with the faculty really is key. At every step of the way, I felt reassured, and I felt that, at any point I was concerned about my work-life balance, the faculty was very willing to work with me to accommodate. For example, recently, when a hurricane hit Florida, there was some question of whether or not I'd be deployed down there, and I was spending a lot of time working on with people deployed virtually. So I reached out to my professors about, whether or not flexibility as needed. And what I found was, if I anticipated, okay, I might be very busy for the next few weeks, because the program's asynchronous, you can complete assignments early. So if you're willing to work through a weekend to get ahead, that's an additional week that you now have more time to budget for. So I would say that planning personal time, planning vacation time, working full time, this program is the ideal program for someone who's looking to not have to sacrifice that ability while still getting a quality education and feeling like they aren't sacrificing the quality of the education and the experience in the process. It's been, honestly, I've been very surprised. Again, that was my biggest fear going into the program. And everyone here has, at every step of the way, put that fear to rest. So that's at least my personal take on it.
Wow, that's very okay. So now we're 2 for 3, where you were easily able to fit it into your life. That is impressive. So Isham, how about you?
I've never found balance in life, so this is nothing new. I'm nowhere near as organized as Joey or or Sean. I think my approach has been take it week by week. I'm here to learn. I'm here to share perspectives, but also understand other people's perspectives and make the most of it. Some weeks are heavy, some weeks are light. I also want to help everyone else, which is very important to me personally. And it being asynchronous definitely helps. I'm an autistic spectrum person, and linear learning has never been part of life. So the only thing I would say I am doing differently is I've brought it down to 3 things: family, work, and the MPH, and cutting down on some of the other advisory stuff, etc., that I do. It's made it a little bit more manageable. Some level, you get what you put into it, right? And I would, in all humility, say that's how I've looked at it. If it's something that I find interesting, I'll focus on it a little bit more that week. If it's something that I don't find as interesting, I'll still get it done, but maybe not spend as much time on it.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense as well. Thank you. I appreciate all of this insight. And I see that the questions are rolling in. This is great. Continue the Q&A box that you see, just continue asking those questions. I'll still go ahead and ask some of those out loud verbally to all of our students at the end. I see that some of them are being answered now, which is great. But we've got one more question that we're going to ask the students, and I think this is a helpful question for everyone on the call, all the attendees. As well, I'd also like to invite Dr. Ramesh and Dr. Nazareno. I think they could also have some advice on this next question here, which is essentially advice for students like those who are attending the webinar today, considering the online MPH. What would you tell them other than to move forward and do it? Obviously, what other advice would you give them to prepare and to really think about pursuing the online MPH at Brown? Again, starting with Joey.
Sure. So my first piece of advice is going to be, apply, create the option for yourself. If you are considering it, like make the option available for yourself before you, even if you have any doubt in your mind, because it's a fantastic program and it's definitely worth your time and effort. I guess the couple of pieces of advice that I would give, if there's anything you feel like is holding you back, like a barrier, a fear, something like that, I would suggest decomposing it into two pieces. One, what are the facts about that? And second, what are you telling yourself about those facts? Because I think if you decompose it into those two components, and you isolate the fact piece, you can start to generate some options as solutions for what those barriers, what the facts are around those perceived barriers. And it can make it much more accessible to then say, you know what, I am going to commit to this. I can do it. Because I would guarantee you there are solutions to anything that you think is holding you back. If it's, there might be some things you're hanging on to that aren't serving you anymore that you could get rid of and create some space for, which is what I did, and create some space for learning some new things and moving forward. So I would recommend that. Something that I did right after I started, because I saw it was going to be a problem for me, and I didn't like the way I felt sort of on the back foot. And that was with regards to technology. So it was a really easy fix. I found that it was the first couple of classes in biostats, and our professor Adam is phenomenal. He's wonderful. He's super understanding. He's super approachable. But I couldn't understand a lot of the just the vernacular around computers, honestly. Apps, clouds. Like, I know what the cloud is, but I didn't really understand how it worked. And we don't need to know that for the class. But for me, I found it was a barrier that I couldn't see. It was almost like object permanence. I couldn't see where the data was coming from because it wasn't on a floppy disk or a stick drive or a network drive. It was in the cloud, and that bothered me. I didn't understand how data was being, flying around and we were using it. And so, things like that, different language and so forth, that the other students were using as well, because it's a very diverse group. There's all, generations in the class. And so what I did was I hired outside of school, I just hired a computer science student to talk to me for an hour and tell me about data and how it moves around and how computers are architected and things like that. It was probably more than I ever needed to know, but for me, that really helped address a vulnerability that I had coming into the program. So I would highly recommend that if what's holding you back is like the technology piece. And I think I'll stop with that. That is my I think the biggest pieces of advice that I could give.
That's great. I really appreciate that. Sean, how about you?
I think my number one piece of advice I would say to anyone considering this program or just considering a master's program in general is definitely ask questions. Sometimes it can be intimidating to ask questions, and you can sometimes feel like you're bothering. I want to take this time to apologize to Jen and Nithya because I've bothered them so much over the last year through email and everything. But at no point along the way was I ever made to feel like I was a burden or I was, asking too much. It really comes down to when you're pursuing a master's, that's a very important decision for anyone. It's a big milestone in someone's life. And taking the time to ask questions and really understand that the program you were going towards is the right fit for you, the importance of that cannot be understated. And I say that having my first time around, I kind of jumped straight from my AmeriCorps into my master's without asking questions. And looking back, I really wish I had taken the time instead to ask myself what I wanted. And having done that this time, worked with Jen and Nithya, Dr. MS, Dr. Nazareno, I should say, and really, they've worked with me and answered all my questions. Really took what was an extremely nerve-wracking decision to go back to school and made it a no-brainer, but also helped me feel much more stable and secure in terms of what my decision was. Ask any questions you have. There really is no such thing as a dumb question, because at the end of the day, every question you ask is another step towards feeling more secure and stable in your decision. And if you get an answer you don't like from a program, that's an easy way to know that if you go into a program knowing that there are pieces of it that aren't necessarily the best fit, you won't be happy down the line. I wish I had learned that sooner in my own experience. And I'm so happy that I went into this program having asked all the questions I wanted to know, and really feeling 100% secure that this program was going to be the right fit for me, and also that this program had my back and I had the support of the program in my goals and in my educational aspirations. And I felt like the program really was working with me as a person. And part of that does come as a benefit of this being a smaller program, is that there is a very open lines of communication between all faculty members and students. That is one of the biggest benefits of being a small program. And especially amongst the Ivy Leagues, of all the Ivy League programs I've interacted with and spoken with, this has been the most down to earth and most open and, just very accepting community of faculty and students that have all worked together. So this has been a very open forum to ask questions and to find that good fit. So just don't be afraid to reach out. I've never felt like a burden. I hope I haven't been a burden. And I'm really just be asking questions. It's really the number one thing I'd say. And to yourself also, ask questions about what you want and what you are looking to get out of your master's. Then you'll know what your expectations for the program should be. Taking that time to really ask yourself what you want. You might not have a clear answer right away, but at least point you in the right direction of where you are going to go with your educational career and how the faculty can help support that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you. Sean, what do you say?
So my advice would be pretty simple, right? Step one is to reflect to where Sean was going and figure out why you want to do an MPH. And that is incredibly important because that will help you match to the right. Step two is to really look at the external factors. Are you looking to do this because of a job? You want to make a career change? You want to pivot? Like some of us, you want to serve the community. I was just answering some questions on the Q&A. There is an incredible shortage of public health leaders. We are all happy to see the interest all of you have to do this. And, we hope most of you make the decision. Honestly, it doesn't matter where you learn because it's needed across the world. If you're looking for a relatively small school, incredibly supportive community, somewhere you can be yourself and not be part of a factory. And there are MPH factories out there, okay? And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way. I would say really take a hard look at Brown. I had a choice between Emory and TC Chan at Harvard and Brown. And here I am, and I don't regret that decision one bit.
That's great. That's great to hear. How about you, Dr. Ramesh or Dr. Nazarino? Any advice here?
I'm just amazed by our students that are on the panel, and thank you for spending your time with us. And in terms of advice, be very, I agree with everything that has been said. Think about well, why Brown? Why online? Why now? Why a public health degree, right? It's important to be self-reflective. It is a sacrifice. It is 2 years of your life, and you're balancing family life and work life. I do believe it is a great investment in yourself and in learning and being a leader. We are a generalist program that is focused on leadership, data analysis, and communication. We offer obviously classes like biostats, epi, and intervention and evaluation. I teach the structural social determinants of health class. We have a great courses throughout the program, but we do focus on building the future leaders in public health. And so if that is something that you're interested in focusing on being a future leader in public health, learning through case studies, having a balance of asynchronous and synchronous learning, this is the program that may be for you. I will reiterate that I do believe that we're pretty supportive. We're pretty down to earth. We want to bring in students from diverse backgrounds, not just race, ethnicity, age, but we have students from different parts of the country, different parts of the world, and definitely different industries, because public health is very multidisciplinary and we need to talk to each other. If anything has happened that we've realized in the since COVID or even before that, is that oftentimes we're very siloed, and we need to be in conversation with each other as we think about the equity around infrastructure, around healthcare, and the delivery of public health. So that's my advice, is to reach out to us. We want to talk to you. We're happy to talk to you. I was a master's student. I get it. I'm first generation. I didn't have the resources, in terms of family members that could support me and talk with me through grad school. So I'm very, very invested in our students and making sure that we answer all your questions, that we want you to feel that, that you're part of the university, you're part of Brown. We've been very thoughtful about that. And I'm so happy to hear the students share their experiences. So I'll take, Nikki, if you have any other things to say.
Sure. I think I'd just echo what Joey and Jen said about, especially, know your why, because you will be committing no less than 20 hours a week towards this program. So at maybe 2 a.m. when you're struggling with code or biostats or something, and you're frustrated and you're wondering why you did this to yourself, it's really important to hold on to the why. Why am I doing this program? Why am I doing it now? Is this really the right time for me to be doing this program? How is it going to benefit me? Just knowing all of those things is really helpful. And like Jen said, we love hearing from you. I love hearing from all of our students. Every time Joey or Sham or Sean have reached out to me, I love talking to them, especially because it helps us improve the program. They are our trailblazers. They're really helping us strengthen our program as the first cohort to go through it. And we really value their feedback. So we try to incorporate most, if not all, of the changes that they suggest, because we know that they care about the program almost as, or maybe just as much as we do or more. And I think it's really important you reach out. I'm also first gen, I'm an immigrant myself. And it's really important to me that I make this process as seamless for those who may be coming into this program from other countries, because you deserve this right to a good education and an education that benefits you and your career goals. So we try our best to make sure that happens.
That's great. Really appreciate everyone sharing their advice here. So we're gonna move on here and quickly get to the live Q&A. I will kind of draw attention to the Q&A. A lot of you are asking questions and the students are answering them. So if you haven't yet, throw your question in there. If you want an answer, I mean, they're answering them live, typing them right now. So be sure, and if you haven't noticed that, look at those questions and see the answers because it really is interesting. Again, we'll be kind of sharing some of them in the live session, but don't wait. Just go for it now and put your questions in there. So we want to kind of talk a little bit, shift away and talk a little bit about what makes Brown's online MPH unique. We've spoken a little bit about this, pieces here and there, but Dr. Nazareno is going to kind of go over this and give us kind of a quick overview of the program.
Yes, so as we were developing this program now 2 years ago, we really thought about case-based learning and integrating it into the public health curriculum at Brown, just because we definitely know that students want to, theoretical frameworks are very important, but how does this play out in the real world? And case-based learning is a way for students to feel really connected to the readings and tying the readings to most of our students, if not all, are professionals and doing really well in their respective careers, and they can tie the cases to their work lives. And I think that this is a wonderful way of learning in real time and applying it to public health challenges that are affecting us currently right now, historically, and now and in the future. So that's why we very much focused on teaching through cases. For example, Alex Glacier, she is a professor that is teaching one of our leadership courses. She's a law professor as well as she is a Brown alum. She also got her MPH. And so she's actually written some of the cases that she is teaching, and that's wonderful. And she's teaching from her background, not just as a law professor, but she is also a CEO and president of a nonprofit org focused on tissue and organ donation. So she definitely brings her real world leadership skills into the classroom and teaches via cases that she has written. 100% online. We really focus on flexibility. We're focused on bringing in professional students to Brown University that have a wide array of experiences. So we have students that are coming with our clinicians, have a healthcare background. We also have students that are lawyers, CEOs, focused in technology, dental hygienists, nurses. We definitely want to bring students from around the country, around the world with different perspectives, and providing an 100% online asynchronous modality creates this community of students to work with each other and learn from each other to be better public health leaders. We also offer optional synchronous weekly sessions with your faculty member. Each student also is assigned a faculty advisor who they meet with at least once a month to talk about how you're doing in the program, talk about your internship, as well as your final project at the end of the 2 years of the program. You are expected to write, it's like a thesis, but we call it a public health challenge project. And so you do have a faculty advisor that you are assigned to from day one that will walk you through this process of the whole program. As I've mentioned earlier, we are very much focused on building leadership skills, and so that's why the curriculum is focused on leadership as well as communications and data analysis. Small class sizes, we do have students are divided into cohorts so that you get to know your peers, peers in not in just your classrooms, but even when with your core faculty advisor. That's a separate cohort, that another way to meet with students. And I will say that we are a smaller program, and I'm proud of that. I think it's important for students to really interact with each other and learn from each other. And these cohorts really, the smaller cohorts really allow for that type of conversation and getting to really know each other and learn from each other. In terms of competitively priced tuition, yes, I will say that we know what the other universities cost, and we've been really try to be as accessible as possible. We do provide merit-based scholarships, and many of our students receive merit-based scholarships because we just have some very fantastic, amazing applicants, and many of our students do in fact get merit-based scholarships so that tuition is even cheaper than the $60K that we charge.
Great. I think that is a great overview of the program and should get people excited. I'm noticing in the Q&A that some of the specifics were asked. So if you do have any more specific questions about the program, please ask them in the Q&A. Dr. Nazareno can give you an answer. But yeah, be sure to use that feature. So then jumping into the application checklist, and I'm going to toss this to Kim Pulowski, the enrollment coach for Brown. And again, she's great. And I mean, I think she has, is it 13 years experience in higher ed working with adult online students. She just is a pro at this and is really excited to help you and help you progress. So Kim, if you want to talk a little bit about what's involved in that application.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Derek. And what a treat to listen to the three of you. Thank you so much. You guys are like total trailblazers for this program, and it is awesome. I often get asked if somebody could talk to one of our current students just to get more insight. So this is honestly invaluable, and just thank you so much for that. So I'm just going to kind of whip through this application checklist in hopes that when we call you, myself or my teammates, you guys will answer the phone. Let us talk you through the application process. Let us help you to support you through that process. But baseline requirements, you definitely need your bachelor's degree to be completed and conferred. You do need 2 years of professional work experience prior to the start date. And I think that's a really important factor because right now, a lot of folks are applying, they may only have 1.5 years of professional work experience, but by the time class would start, they would be able to either meet or exceed that 2-year expectation. So an updated resume is required, resume CV, however you want to format that. You will need 3 letters of recommendation. Now, those letters can be either a combination of academic and professional, or just professional, whatever is most current and relevant for you. But also you want people who are going to speak very, very loudly on your behalf, because the committee will absolutely read everything that is in your application packet. I'm going to skip the personal statement and come back to that, but all official transcripts, and I want to stress that, all official transcripts from any school that you've attended is going to be important. I think one of the biggest obstacles people hit is that they forget maybe that they took a class or 2 in high school that was actually college credit. They've ignored that. They go on and apply and submit their most current official transcripts, and then SOFAs, which is our application platform, will actually kick it back. And so it delays the process. So just as you're thinking to put down what schools you've attended, just make sure you list absolutely everything and order transcripts from everywhere that you've gone. As I mentioned, we do use the SOFAs application process. That's something myself and my colleagues will happily talk you through as how that progresses and what's needed to make that as smooth as possible. The personal statement, this is really a chance for you to make a distinction for yourself before the committee, to really shine, to show your passion for public health. What is it that's motivated you to go into this field? Or how did you come about this field? What are your goals in the future? Those are some things the committee really wants to hear from you so that you can really kind of set yourself apart. They're reading so many of these, and you really, really want to make yourself stand out in this particular aspect, this particular document for your application. And then just a little footnote for international students, if somebody has studied overseas, you will need to get international transcript evaluations. This one specifically lists WES, but we do allow for 2 other international application evaluation companies. And then, of course, a lot of folks will potentially use the TOEFL as a frame of reference for their English capabilities. But these are the basics, but there's so many different nuances. So like I said, when we give you a call, please pick up the phone. We want to be able to tailor this to you and help you specifically. Thanks, Derek. Oh, wait. One last thing. Down at the bottom of this little slide, early admissions decision deadline, December 15th. The committee has decided to offer you that opportunity. We have a lot of people applying for the fall start right now. And honestly, if you can shoot for that December 15th deadline, it's rolling admissions. So the sooner you get your application done and completed, the sooner you're going to be put before the committee, the sooner you're going to get a decision back. That's all I want to say. Thank you, Derek.
Not a problem. Yes. So again, any questions about admissions, go ahead and type them in the Q&A there. And then really quick, we've had great conversation here speaking with these students. Just wanted to let you know, we will have another webinar at the beginning of December. That's all about the international student experience. As you know, with an online MPH, that opens this opportunity and this chance to earn this degree to the whole world. So what does that look like to the folks who are not located in the United States? So we're going to be speaking with a student and kind of speaking about that experience and that process. So I'm going to drop in the chat right now. Let me make sure that I'm going to put a link in there to register for that webinar. So you can go ahead and register for that now, be all set to go on December 6th. And then we're at the part everyone's been waiting for, the live Q&A. It's kind of funny because everyone on the call has been asking so many questions, and those questions have been answered as we're going through the webinar, which is perfect. That's what we wanted this to be, an open discussion where we really kind of dive into the program, dive into these students' experiences, and really get to know a lot about each other. So one question I think as we move into this section that I wanted to bring up with everyone is the three current students. How are things, how are things going in terms of, you have your ups and downs. How do you keep yourself motivated now that you're in the thick of it and you've got, you're taking the classes, you're doing the things? What is a tip or trick to keep yourself motivated while you're experiencing all of this?
I'll go first. I don't know that I had to try to keep myself motivated at all. It's been so much fun, and the learning is intense. Yes, sometimes the workload gets a little out of hand, but motivation has not been a challenge. Maybe balance to some extent.
Well, that's great to hear. How about Joey, Sean? How about either of you?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sean.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say, like Sham, I haven't found my motivation dipping. I'm having a lot of fun. There's a lot of really interesting things, both in our biostats class around the data and just learning how to use, new technologies like R, which wasn't always fun. R was not always fun, to be honest. But once you kind of get over a certain hump, if you're not familiar with programming, there's like an inflection point, and it actually becomes fun because then you can root through a bunch of data and find things. So I've been entertaining myself with a lot of fishing expeditions and data sets. That's been fun. And the reading for our other class has been pretty interesting as well. So I haven't had any dips in motivation yet.
This is great. and Sean, I don't know if maybe you're gonna have a similar answer, but so far this is very impressive.
Yeah, no, first off, I hope everyone can hear me okay. My laptop died and there's no nearby outlets, so I switched to my phone. So I hope everyone can hear me all right.
Oh yeah, we can.
I was just gonna echo, so perfect. 2 for 2 with good audio. What was it? I can echo similar sentiment of, it's been honestly really enjoyable. I've really found the material we talked about to be extremely engaging. So far, working with Professor Glazier, she has very interesting, she brings a lot of great interviews to watch, lots of TED Talks to watch, which I actually find fascinating. But on top of that, periodically, I'll just sit back and remind myself, like, I go to Brown. That's awesome. That's really cool. My parents, as a present when I got in, got me a school public health mug, and periodically I'll make like a cup of tea. Look, hey, look, I have a Brown mug. Oh wait, I go to that school now. That's cool. Pretty rad. So like, honestly, like I don't know, it's the small things really matter. I mean, the program's amazing. Of course, it's a great school, but really the quality of the material we're studying really lives up to the name of Brown. I think, despite being the virtual program, the first, a brand new program. And I find that it's just very engaging. Professor Glazer is wonderful to work with. Everyone I've worked with so far has been great. I haven't really encountered any situation that felt boring. And I've definitely been in past class situations where I've been like, I want this to be over. I mean, it is my first year, but so far, of all the faculty members I've met, who have been in quite a bit, I could listen to them talk for forever, and I don't think I get bored. So I think overall, very positive experience so far with engagement.
Wow, that's really great to hear. There's one question, and I know we're kind of, I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and we're kind of we'll wrap up here. But this has just been such a great conversation. I want to make sure we get all the questions in. One that I think is would be great to hear from everyone. It has to do with just the collaborative nature of the program, and how does that work in an online program? How does that collaboration work, and the networking and getting to know students? What are each of your perspectives on that? Starting with Joey again.
Unmute, Joey. Joey, you're on mute.
Sorry, I'm not a digital native, so when I focus on answering a chat, I can't listen, and this is like a problem for me. So what was the question? I'm sorry.
It's just the collaborative nature of the program, it being an online program. What does that mean for an online program?
Yeah. So I would say that the collaborative nature is something that I've noticed is very open to interpretation by different people. So we have some folks in the class that literally are on Zooms with each other, probably 3 or 4 times a week to work on homework assignments and those sorts of things. I'm more one to check my Slack channel a couple times a day, but I'm not like on it. And I haven't been doing the extra Zooms with the classmates just because it's not something I can accommodate at the moment. So for me, collaboration looks like more one-on-one or 2 or 3, small group kind of phone calls or group chat kind of things around assignments that we have. It might be around a particular coding, for example, coding in R. Why do you think this code's not working? Hey, how are you guys approaching this? And we share a lot of perspectives that way. But like I said, it looks very different for different people.
That's great insight. Sean, what do you think?
Okay, so my nerd's gonna come out a little bit here, so I apologize. It's very nerdy. I don't know if there are any gamers here, but I know that me and a few of the people in the cohort have started a Discord server. So, which is a online gaming kind of discussion thing. But we've been using that to communicate back and forth. And it's actually the same group I went through the convocation with. So despite being in an online setting, we've really been doing a very good job at staying in touch and staying connected. And I really feel like the community of the students have really made it clear that they want to feel connected beyond just, seeing each other once a week at a street or at our synchronous sessions. Someone's talking on a microphone now, so I hope that that's not too loud. But yeah, so in general, I've been feeling like, we've done a really good job at staying in touch with everybody, and everyone's really made it clear that they want to reach out to you, they want to be connected with you. It feels really like a community of students, and it's just been really wonderful to have that experience, despite us all being around the globe, quite literally, looking at Seattle. So.
Yeah. And again, I appreciate, Sean, you jumping on in a cafe and making time for this webinar. And Sean, what would you say about collaboration and how that works?
Sean, Can you hear us?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I can hear you guys. So I think the only thing I would add is, like Joey, I'm trying to have some quiet time where I'm not chatting with my classmates. Between Slack and Zoom and WhatsApp and the discussions within Canvas, which is our learning tool, we are chatting constantly. You know, even while this is going on, I've been helping some of my classmates and answering questions and reacting. So it's more a way of life thing. It comes pretty naturally once you get into it.
I think that's great. I think that's really great to hear how because it can feel like that with an online program. People are from all over the world, all different time zones. But as it's kind of explained here, it's still very easy to communicate and learn and kind of build skills with each other. So that's really great to hear. Before we end the webinar here, let's see, I just want to kind of make sure that we have everything. It looks like we've got all the big questions. Thank you everyone so much again for coming and listening to the students. Thank you for the students and the faculty that took the time out and joined us today and answered those questions. I think this has been a great conversation that we had. Again, if you want to pursue or have any more questions, reach out to Kim and enrollment and her team. They can help you. Here's some information on the screen here, the phone and the email that you can reach out to. But it's a really great program. As you've heard from the students here today, we would love to see you in the fall 2023 cohort. So be sure to get that application and everything in by December 15th, so you can get that early admissions decision, and we can move you forward with the program. But thank you everyone again today. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your evening, and hopefully we will talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay.
Thanks for taking everyone.